Hi, I'm Marinetti and I'm here with Pawel Sasko. It's an honor and a pleasure to talk to you.
Pleasure is mine.
First of all, what's the design pillars, if you can say, about the game that you developed?
Oh, so you're talking about the next Cyberpunk game. Well, I mean, when it comes to next Cyberpunk, I can't really say much. I mean, we are right now focusing on building the team in Boston. I'm one of the directors that has been moved from Poland, from our European studio to Boston, where we are building the studio. Right now, we're in a process of recruiting. We have a lot of directors, a lot of leads recruited. We're building the team right now, and we are working on the vision for the game. It's early stages, so I won't be sharing much yet.
We tried. So, what's make a high qualified AAA RPG quest?
Oh wow, incredible question. I mean, so I have a whole talk about this gamescom at 11:55, I believe, on Friday. So I'll be touching more of that. My whole talk just covers basically like principle, as we call them, like commandments of quest design. And like we really pay attention to figuring out, what's the genre and the theme of the quest that you are building. Then we are figuring out the characters, making sure that they are as grounded as possible in the story you're creating. What's important for us is making sure that all of those characters are authentic. If you played like Cyberpunk 2077, probably like Judy, Panam, Carrie, River, Takemura, Jackie. All of them, we always try to make sure that they are as natural as possible and they feel authentic, that they have actual natural character traits, and we are really paying attention to it. In Hollywood, when you're building a story, it's like natural that story needs to hit like certain beats in a way. There is moments when character is in the lowest point of its story, and so on. But what we are trying to do is we are trying to make it authentic. And sometimes if something doesn't really serve the screen, we really will follow up on the character rather than on a dramaturgy, to make sure that those characters are really real. I always tell it to my designers that characters are your most powerful weapon, and people who remember characters, they don't really remember plot, right? Like when you talk to someone, people will rarely be, oh wow, and the plot was so amazing and so mind-blowing. That's not the case. People in most cases just remember the characters, right? They're getting excited about Judy, Panam, Carrie, River. They're talking about them, right? Rather than actually about like crazy plot points. And of course, there's so many more elements. Like great quest has also like amazing pacing, and pacing is a rhythm of narrative. So like how the events are happening one after another. If you have like, let's say, too many scenes one after another, it's just too much exposition. It becomes really, really heavy. And then as a player, you're just bored. It's like, oh God, it's like constantly the same thing one after another. So it's great when you can actually just do it in a way that you have amazing character with a great scene, but then you have a great engaging like gameplay section. And then for a moment, you have a scene again, you have things like, let's say, walk and talk. When you're together with Takemura, like walking up there, to do the planning scene. We always try to like design it very carefully and make sure that all of those elements are like going one after another and to keep the pace. And I think like if you played Phantom Liberty, so the expansion for Cyberpunk 2077, you can see actually that pace really executed there. I really feel that it's probably the best story we have ever told. And we really paid attention to all of those elements there. And of course, for an RPG, you need to have things like choice and consequence, So moments when we really create like this authentic dilemma for the players to decide on, the moment when you were actually between, Somi and Reed in Phantom Liberty and making that main decision. We were really trying to pull your heartstrings to make it really difficult. Like I often watch like streamers or, IGN or YouTubers like actually commenting on what we build. And when I see people actually having like this huge dilemma about, okay, what the hell is happening? Like what should I do? What should I choose? It's exactly the thing that we wanted to achieve, really make you question what to do. So there's much more I can tell you about that, but this is just broad strokes. I hope people will watch the lecture when I'll be talking about it much more in depth.
How it works, the narrative pipeline and the thematic structures of games like this?
Oh wow, that is like a really large topic to discuss, but in broad strokes, in general, you start first from various pitches, and you try to figure out what is exciting, what makes you really passionate about this story. And from there, you are building a story outline. At first you go with like 1 page, then 2 pages, then 4 pages, 8 pages. And for the big game, it's normally like maybe 30 to 40 pages outline. That is a description of what is happening. You can almost say that it's like a short story, that you can read from beginning till the end. And from this point on, that story outline goes to the quest designers that normally divide it into quests, and we start developing the main quests, and then we work in cross-functional teams. So you have quest designer, cinematic designer, writer, an animator, gameplay designer, level designer, all of those people actually together in this cross-functional team that we call content teams. Sometimes in the industry, they're also called pods. So we work in that content team and basically work in that whole content for that section. And when you have that design written, then you're moving on to working on something that is called first playable. So you're drafting, it first. On the blockout locations, on like gray boxes, it's completely without any textures or anything like this. You can have maybe like colored light, and that's it. And on that blockout locations, you are simply like trying to implement it, trying to get all of those points so that you can play it in a very basic form first. And then you can judge it, and iterate on this and go towards pre-alpha, then alpha, pre-beta, beta, then towards the polishing stage, then you ship it, and then it starts the post-release support, when you need to patch something, if there's something is not right. So that is really the whole pipeline. It's really gigantic. It takes many, many years for AAA.
We could say about this a whole year.
Oh yeah.
A whole day, I imagine. So can you share with us a few rules of design for non-linear narrative?
Oh yes, absolutely. So when it comes to this, I think the main thing and important part for me is when you have those characters that I mentioned and they're grounded, to have choices that are actual dilemmas, So it's important for us that those choices are not black and white, but they are really, really something that's very difficult, and think that you can actually look in your own life and think about, okay, I actually have encountered that kind of dilemma. I know how it feels, really to have something like this and to really wonder, how to build. Because then the branches that you're going to create, they're going to be really satisfactory. Another thing that I always tell my designers is try to surpass expectations of the player. Your job is to control what player thinks and what player feels. Those two things. So the information dosage and then what emotional moments you are creating. So your job is to create that hypothesis in the player's mind and then either confirm it or deny it, and you constantly keep going like this to keep the player captivated and just dose that information very carefully all the time to just make them wonder, make them want more, That's really what I think is this secret sauce, is the charm of really building that narrative in a really satisfactory way. And of course, there's so many things that we agree not to give the players. For instance, we always say no FedEx quests. So simple delivery quests. When you run from point to point, there always has to be some kind of a narrative packaging, narrative suit, for that idea. So then you as a player, you can really engage with it and understand it really in a deep level, and it can really captivate you, and take you to that emotional journey and just experience amazing adventure. That's really the best I can do in the short form.
No, it's perfect. You explained perfectly. So thanks, Paul, for having us. It was such a pleasure. So stay tuned for more Gamescom here in IGN. Bye-bye.